let me hand it over to Dan, who's going to talk about best HubSpot features for enterprise sales. Dan, thanks so much for being here.
No, thank you for letting me join the call. I'll just share my screen 1 second. So, Kyle, I thought I'd kick it off with something you're familiar with. So we're going back to 2018. This is when Brian introduced the flywheel. And being HubSpot fans, even back then, and Kyle Jepsen fans, we pinged him the very first desktop flywheel, which I think broke, didn't it, Kyle, after a little overuse?
Yes, I still have it, but it is generally in multiple pieces.
Yeah, and like HubSpot and the CRM, we've improved over the years. We've improved the flywheel. So yeah, I think it's running on Formula One ball bearings now, so it's pretty efficient.
It's that flywheel, which is just out of reach around the corner right now, it spins a long time. I've gotten it to spin for 2 solid minutes before. It is fantastic.
We need to produce more. But yeah, just a quick introduction on who we are. So me and Austin run OrgChartHub, and first and foremost, we're HubSpot customers. We built OrgChartHub because we're HubSpot customers trying to solve our own challenge. So I just thought I'd give you that background in terms of me and Austin work for another software company using the HubSpot CRM and Marketing Hub. We were very early on the CRM, we're on Sidekick, so before it was Sales Hub, and we adopted it quickly. But the big thing at the time that we were doing was we were selling into large enterprises like big pharmaceuticals, big biotech, and some big software companies. And the thing we realized very quickly was when you sell to those size of companies, it comes down to the people, and it comes down to buying groups, buying committees, and there's a lot of people that make a decision on a purchase. And we felt, me and Austin at the time as a side hustle, when we were chatting in the evenings, we were like, this should be inside a HubSpot. We shouldn't be using a spreadsheet. We shouldn't be using a PowerPoint anymore. We need it inside a HubSpot. So that's how OrgChartHub was born, as an internal tool initially. Then in 2018, we plucked up the courage to put it in the HubSpot app marketplace. And then we went full time by 2019. Unfortunately, became quite a popular app, specifically amongst teams that sell to large businesses. So fast forward to today, we work with nearly 7,000 HubSpot customers, and we see some consistency across those accounts in terms of how we speak to our customers and engage with them on what they're doing. And we just thought it was worth sharing like some of those things that we see. So yeah, Kyle and Diana, please chip in as I go through this. I'm only going to go through a couple of slides, and then we'll get stuck into some screen shares because that's more fun. So there was a post by HUGcommunity like 3 weeks ago that really stood out to me and Austin, and I think it kind of highlights the point. There's a lot of conversation around AI at the moment, but we feel like the fundamental thing that isn't going to change is specifically in sales and enterprise sales. It's always going to be about the people and making sure you're communicating with all of the buying group and all of the buying committee and making sure everyone's engaged and you're trying to get everyone aligned. So we just thought that post was just a really interesting one from HUGcommunity 3 weeks or so ago. There's something quite unique about HubSpot, and I'm not sure everyone appreciates this. What we see is teams that are using Sales Hub and Marketing Hub, and the sales team and the marketing teams are working together on key accounts. Now, I think that's obvious for everyone that's using HubSpot in terms of that's an advantage to have it all in one place, but it is quite unique. Like, you don't see that across any other software. Usually in other software, you've got people working in the separate pieces of software, and so it's actually quite hard to collaborate. And so I'm going to highlight on areas where we see specific collaboration, where there's sales inputs, and then the marketing team can help act on that when it comes to account-based sales and account-based marketing. And then just to kind of give you a bit of background on what we see typically. So when we're working with these companies who are selling to large enterprises, now they can be big or small businesses themselves, but there is a consistency in terms of their focus. And I'll give you like my example with this one. So when me and Austin were working together, the company we're working with was around 50 people, so a relatively small business at the time. But I was reading the Challenger sale and my team was reading the Challenger sale, And in the Challenger sale, they specifically call out the fact you do need to understand the buying group and get everybody aligned. So even as a small business, we were like, okay, well, that's a key part of our sales motion. As you get to larger businesses, so larger HubSpot customers that are mapping out key decision makers, we tend to see like Miller Hyman or Medpic or Medic and teams following that quite religiously. And again, like they're calling out specifically, you need to map out the buying group in order to give yourself the best chance of winning that deal. So I just want to highlight that because I'm going to touch on a few things that are linked to the sales methodology as we go through. And then last point, just before I jump into a screen share, is we sponsored this podcast last year, and it was helpful. It's always helpful to hear people talk about how they landed a deal, and often it's their largest deal and how it all came about. There was over 60 interviews on the podcast last year, and a thread that is quite common but not talked about that often is when somebody lands a big deal, it is not a one and done. It's not they came in, they sold a big deal all in one hit. It's normally a land and expand. And so if you dig into the detail, it's either an existing customer and then a new person took it on and then figured out how big this account could be, or it was well planned out and we land here and then we expand across. So I'm just making that point just because it's rarely talked about too much, because it's not that glad to talk about how long it took to expand an account. So we'll jump into HubSpot now. And the first thing I'm going to kind of focus on is target accounts. So this is what we see where we see sales and marketing working very closely together. So target accounts inside of companies. I just clicked on target accounts at the top there. So this is a demo account, so it's not got all real data in here for obvious reasons. And the first thing that the teams are working on together, this is sales and marketing, is they're figuring out how many key accounts are we going to work on as a team. And that is normally sales led. It's normally the sales team that like selecting that, and then the marketing team and then working alongside. And some of the things within here, like that are specific to how they're using it. If I open up this account view just here, the buying roles are key, and I'm going to come to that again in a moment. But actually this piece as well, the stakeholders, you'll be aware if you sell into a large business, it's not normally just one person that's focused on that account. It could be, if it's a very large business, it could be your CEO that's helping you on that account. It could be your sales leader, your sales engineer that you're working with. And it's a real team effort often to win those deals. So assessing like who are the internal stakeholders are key within here, but it can also be done at the deal level as well. I'm not sure everyone really is aware of this one. So I'm just going to click into this particular deal. And you'll see what we've got activated on this particular account is collaborators. And this is where you can add who you're working with from your side as well. If you ever want to add that, because it's not added by default, but if you want to add it, you just go to the settings button in the top there, and then you can add that within. Have you seen many people using that, Carl?
I wish I had better insights into which ones are being used the most. I don't know for sure, but record customization is definitely hot right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll come back to that like team selling piece, because there's some sides on the OrgChartHub side that we can help with on that as well. And the key thing I think from the buying roles is it powers a lot of what's going on in terms of the reporting on the left-hand side. And obviously one of the key things is like, do you have blockers on that particular account? And there's lots of other stuff within here that I can show you, but I'm going to kind of move to specifically the buying groups now. So if I jump to, let's go to this account here and view the record. So from a software standpoint, what we see is when people are choosing their target accounts, it's a combination of what's in their existing HubSpot account from inbound, and then they're obviously working their way through that. But these are the typical solutions that kind of we see across HubSpot customers and obviously our customers. So Breeze Intelligence obviously being the HubSpot solution. And I know there's another hug coming up on that, so it's really cool. And that is mainly around the account selection, but we do see obviously enrichment on the contact level as well. Zoom Info and Apollo are very common in what we see. And then the ones below here, Surf and Hub Lead, and obviously LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you haven't seen Surf and Hub Lead before, it's basically taking, when you're inside of LinkedIn, you can pick and choose which contacts that you want to push back into your HubSpot account. And we see like customers using that. And obviously you can use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It can get a bit pricey because you have to be on the top end of the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, but there's teams that obviously use that as well. So that's typically what we see when they're picking and choosing accounts and trying to enrich those accounts as they go. Now, once that's set up, and once they've got their list of accounts, they start to work on it from a buying group perspective. So if I open up OrgChartHub here, and I'll show you how they're doing that. So I'm going to go on full screen because it'll be a bit easier to see. Now, there's 3 ways that teams are mapping out their key stakeholders on an account. This one's obvious. This one here, when you select it, it looks at the contacts inside of the company, and it's looking at the job titles, and it's going to infer and put them together. So really giving a head start for the sales rep or customer success rep to figure out, okay, where do these contacts sit, and then they can move them around. The one I'm going to talk to specifically today is this one. So we don't have this on everybody's accounts, but we've got it out on beta, and this is becoming increasingly the most popular way to build out your buying committee. So if you click into this, what teams are doing is they're putting together blueprints or templates of the buying committees that they're seeing. So they're looking at their last, say, 5 to 10 deals as a team, and they're deciding these are the job roles that we see that we need to engage in order to give ourselves the best chance of winning a deal. And then as a team, they're putting together templates, and the sales rep is just basically coming in and picking the most relevant template. And then what OrgChartHub is doing is it's automatically filling out the job titles where there's a direct match, and where there's a gap, it's then highlighting if there's a like which one it may be. So it might be like this one here, where maybe it's not a direct match, but then you can go, okay, this is the contact there, and it's filling it out for you. So yeah, really giving that bit of consistency and a bit of guided selling from the sales team above, and then from a coaching perspective, it's helping like ensure that we've got everyone engaged as well. Now within here, you can still add people to the org chart, so you can still pull people in like so. You can still add relationship lines in between contacts and everything like that. But what we're seeing, like from a individual person and engagement standpoint, is the buying role this is a two-way sync. So applying the buying role can be done within here. And from a marketing side, what's happening is the teams are basically creating content that's specific to those buying roles in combination with a few others, which I'll highlight in just a second. So when I said about like this, the sales inputs, when you can see all the key decision makers on one screen and it's nice and easy to apply a buying role, it's just a click and then it's updated inside of HubSpot. We're seeing them applied more often across these accounts, and then that is helping the marketing team to put together content that's specific to a budget holder, for example, and very targeted, and they're helping with that ABM side. The other thing as well, and this links back to the sales methodology, and this is going to get quite specific now, but what we see is things like this. So you see like this degree of influence, that is a contact property, and you can basically add any contact property to the label. So you just pick and choose here, and then you can update these within here. So you can, things like degree of influence or relationship strength, you can update, and then that is obviously then helping power things on the marketing side as well, where it's really specific. And actually, I'll just highlight this piece as well. So disc type is a personality type, and that can be picked up from various different sources. And we noticed on Agent AI, so if I jump in here, there's a disc profile that's become quite popular, and Dharmesh highlighted this. So actually, that's quite a good source that you can provide and then input that into your HubSpot account to give teams a better insight on personality types. And again, that all comes back to communication and the types of communication people like, and just better understanding those key decision makers. So yeah, bit of detail there. But some of the stuff that teams really enjoy is the activity heat map. So if I turn this on, and why this is helpful really is, again, from a sales and marketing standpoint, it helps you look at an account and review it. And really, it's about the engagement. The lack of engagement. So the headline is just, okay, we've got engagement here, but if we look down here, this person has not been engaged from a sales perspective. When we flip over to marketing activity, it's really clear. Okay, well, we do have an opportunity here to engage them. We can click in, look at that contact specifically inside of HubSpot, look at what they're engaged with, and then start to pull them into the conversation so we can better understand their position when it comes to our solution and working it that way. I know this question always comes up a lot on demos, so I'm going to briefly pause on this and show you where this activity is coming from. It's coming from these HubSpot properties. So you can see them all here. These are all the definitions within here. The biggest difference between the sales activity and the marketing activity is the person has to have done something proactive on the marketing side. If you send a marketing email, that's not enough to register activity. They would have to have gone to the website, clicked on the link, and moved it that way. So that's the biggest difference between the two. I'm now going to show you like the very latest, and this is kind of like top end. So in terms of how some of our very top customers are using it in conjunction with HubSpot. So when you've got a company that's a bit more mature and you're selling maybe 3 or 4 different products, what you find is the buying groups for each product is slightly different. Let's use HubSpot as the example. So when you sell Sales Hub to someone, when HubSpot sells Sales Hub to someone, they'll have a slightly different buying group to maybe if you're selling Marketing Hub or Service Hub, because you get customer success involved and customer support. So what we're finding is some of these templates are taking on different buying groups. So I've just picked one here with multiple buying groups. And so what we're seeing is teams break them up into the different product lines, and then they're making sure they've got everyone mapped out for the specific product. And the key thing here is like you can get the same contact sometimes that is involved on product A as they are in product B. And you can still show the relationships in between those groups, because often there's like a cross-sell and a conversation that goes on in between. So that is the very latest. And that's how me and Austin think about OrgChartHub, think about the buying committees and buying groups and how we're engaging obviously with our customers to help figure that piece out. So yeah, that's the very latest piece on that side. The other thing that I just thought was worth addressing was, again, when you're selling to really big companies, parent-child relationships become pretty important, like understanding that structure, understanding the wider business, and how you can sell across that. And this comes back to that whole land and expand piece. Often you will land in part of a business and then figure out how you can expand across it. So when we're speaking to new customers, often I'll ask the question, have you looked at related companies who are using parent-child relationships? And the common answer is, yeah, we are, but probably not to its full extent, or we're not really sure how to. And so that really, the answer to that is that why we created the account mapping side of OrgChartHub, and it's a two-way sync with the parent-child relationships. So if I open this one up from here, what it does is it immediately reflects back the structure that's already in place if you have one. I'm just going to go on full screen because it'd be easier to see. So we opened up from this account here. If we zoom out, now we can see, okay, well, it's part of AWS, which is ultimately part of Amazon at the top here. And really the first thing is, okay, well, now I can see it a little bit easier. I can jump in here and go and add a parent-child relationship. So I can add a child company in here. That now is added on. We can go as deep as we need to. So you'll see this here. This is parent-child, and then we go grandchild, and we can go great-great-grandchild. And we do have customers that do that. We've got customers that sell into banks where it goes multiple levels deep into regions, and they need to see it in order to understand who they're selling into. And much like the heat map, we've got something similar, but we call it deal activity, where we're layering on the deals that you've got open and that you've won with this particular account. So as you can see here, we're rolling up the revenue to the top, and we want to show you firstly what you've done so far. So this is a close one deal, so you can click on that deal, takes you straight to the deal inside of HubSpot. The open deals, so what have you got, and how big could this account be for you? And again, you can navigate in between, and really helping you spot where there's gaps and where there's opportunities to move into. And if you have different pipelines, maybe you have a renewal pipeline and maybe you have separate product pipelines, you can break that down like so. And then you can also break it down by time. So a very helpful view to look at, to basically review an individual account and see, again, the size that you can get that account to. And we do see customers use this for, and this is straightforward when it comes to accounts like Amazon, where there are separate domains, but we do still see customers where it is the same domain and they'll still split them out. A little bit harder to do. There's no silver bullet for that, but you can do it. And we see customers do it because they really want to get that structure in place so that they get that better understanding within there. And then also if you can navigate down to the org chart level. And just one other piece on this, when I go down to the org chart level on that one that we were just looking at, when it's very large accounts and you've got contacts that are in different parts of the business, we should make this more obvious as a team, but you can pull in contacts from outside of that company. So it might be in a different part of the business and still add them to the org chart because you know they are influencing this particular deal, for example. And then again, you can add relationship lines and show how important that is. That's used in a few ways. That's used, we see teams use that for team selling. So they'll add themselves onto the org chart along with the rest of the team, highlight the fact that it's our team. Obviously, hopefully you'd recognize the faces, but you can highlight that, show the relationships, show who's talking to who and that side of things. The other area on this is perhaps you've got a partner play. And so partners are helping you and are external influencers on particular companies. And so you can pull in external parties as well to show how that's influencing particular deals that you've got going on. Yeah, I'll stop there because that feels like I've been talking for a while. But hopefully that gives you a good bit of background. And if there's any questions, obviously more than happy to answer.
You're doing great. People in the chat are enjoying it. You should scroll back and see some of the nice things they said. If anyone wants to ask some questions, the Q&A is open, so you can head over and do that now.
One question that was in the chat that I'll reiterate because it was Austin answered it. It's all the data is coming from HubSpot, correct? And it's not linked from other sources. And Austin says, yes, that is right. All from HubSpot.
Yeah, that's kind of why I highlighted the suppliers of the data. It's a very different business to go and get data, hence why HubSpot acquired Breeze in terms of like they know that's important. So yeah.
Jenny says it looks like OrgChartHub is going to solve some issues their team is having with working with the public sector agencies. They have, let's see, within the country, they have individual agencies as clients, as well as the company as the sheriff or the county sheriff. So I think you've heard some inspiration for people to think of their own use cases.
Yeah, public sector selling is hard just because of obviously the structure of the organization. So yeah, we do work with quite a few customers that sell in that situation. My brother actually does that. So I'm getting a lot of feedback from him on how he's doing it and how he's mapping them out. So yeah.
There you go. I
totally understand that.
Yeah, I see a couple questions coming into the Q&A. I'm going to let Kyle answer those, but while they're in the chat and those are getting upvoted, I'm just going to let's see. Steven says, what does per chart mean in the pricing?
Yeah, so that's the org chart side. So for some extra context, we we never charge on any, or we never count an org chart rather if it's got less than 3 contacts on there. That's not fair. That's not mapping out lots of key decision makers. That's not helping you win a big deal. So we don't count those. And it is just the org charts. It's not the account mapping side. So the account mapping that I showed you, that comes with all the paid plans. So it's just the org chart. So the way way a new customer would think about it is, how many key accounts have I got, or how many target accounts am I going to go after this year? And then that'll be the number that they sit around. We do have customers that have over 500 org charts. They tend to be some of HubSpot's bigger customers, that they've got big sales teams, and each salesperson has got 20, 30 accounts that they look after. Yeah, we obviously help to, we can share pricing on that as well.
Great. We have a fair number of questions in the Q&A now. Friends, if you want to upvote any questions, it's pretty flat right now, so I'll just go through them in the order they are displayed to me currently. Chris asks, how are you guys planning to interact with Breeze AI as it continues to work its way into every record and tool?
Yeah, kind of, I'll just, 1 second. Yeah, it's a good question. I'm just going to share my screen again briefly. 1 sec.
Yeah, it's great.
So yeah, we're obviously thinking about this a lot when it came to, we've got the right tab, here we go. So that's part of the reason why we've got this smart suggestions within here. And like from as soon as HubSpot made the Clearbit acquisition, we were thinking, how can you highlight potentially new contacts within here or existing contacts that could be enriched, and really using this. So this is AI functionality on our side where we're doing job matching. And so that's how we're thinking about it going forward, is how can we work closely with Breeze Intelligence from an account perspective, but also a contact perspective.
Amazing. Heather asks, would you be able to build heat map reports within HubSpot for the sake of not having another platform to log into?
Yeah, so OrgChartHub, we have a free plan, which you can use up to 5 org charts and map that out. You don't need to log in somewhere else. It's turned on for your HubSpot account. You add it in there, and we use your HubSpot login. I don't know whether that answers the question. Does that answer the question, Carl?
Yeah, Heather, I'm wondering if maybe you're hoping to put some of this stuff on dashboards. I don't know.
She says correct.
Okay.
Sorry, it cut out briefly while you.
Oh no! So I think she's wanting to take some of the stuff you've shown and put them on dashboards.
Gotcha. Yeah. So at the moment, they do need opening up from like company or contact profile. There is a middle panel now, a middle pane that OrgChartHub can go into. I don't think it can go on a dashboard just yet. Austin might be able to answer that one, but it definitely can go on a middle pane on a company now, which is exciting because a whole new space. Yeah,
depending on what exactly you're trying to accomplish, Heather, who you're wanting to communicate this information to, you can put a lot of stuff on a HubSpot dashboard. It doesn't have to be a HubSpot report. And so if it's like a weekly report to somebody, you could even do like screenshots in a Google Slides presentation and embed that in a dashboard, and then it would be right there next to your HubSpot reports. It wouldn't update automatically, obviously, but I think there may be creative ways to accomplish what you're trying to do.
Mike asks, sorry. Mike points out that if you are using a custom link, you can put that on a dashboard, which if it has a URL in HubSpot, you can put that on a dashboard. So
sure, yeah.
Why not?
That's a great point too. Yeah. Dan, when you click into like an org chart or the account mapping, what is the URL doing? Does it still just have the record URL? Or
so like, as Austin answered there, like when you open up, there's permissions that we need to see in order for it to open up. So so that's why it can't open up from a dashboard, because there's actually like it's part of being an app partner and working within HubSpot.
Yeah, for sure, that makes sense.
The admin hug, we try to solve the problem,
or just break things.
Yeah, that's
we're an org chart user. This is Gainer Web, but could be doing much more. Would love to understand more around the automatic creation of org charts. Sorry if I missed the comment, but is this only in beta?
So the AI side has been out since 2023, but the buying groups is in beta. So yeah, very happy to turn that on for you, and we'd love your feedback on it. I think probably best Austin, if you can pick up the message, then we'll set up a call and we'll get it turned on and help you with that.
Amazing. To manage franchises, my company uses a custom object for locations. Is there a way for OrgChart account mapping to tie in custom objects to its report?
That is, so that's one we're trying to think about quite carefully. Like, Kyle, do you remember association labels came out and we set something up on beta that was working with custom objects? Do you remember that?
Yeah, and the association labels, like in the target accounts, we set up buyer role as a property on the contact, because we didn't have association labels yet, and then everything changed. So
yeah, well, there was basically we ran a bit of an experiment after Inbound a couple of years ago when it was associations between custom objects, and we are looking at that again to see whether we might be able to do it. So at the moment, like in that account map view, for example, you can't put a custom object on there, associate it between the parent. It's just strictly parent-child, but it's something we're considering on how we might be able to help customers with that, because we do see a small group that have that challenge.
Yeah, and I would who was this? Where'd it go? Deborah. I've heard locations as a custom object, I think, is a thing quite a few HubSpot customers do. And I'd be curious what advantages that unlocks beyond just using the company records and parent-child associations. Because I know there is frustration there that I think people turn to custom objects to solve, but I don't exactly understand how custom objects are better. So just my own curiosity there.
We see it actually on the GeoMapper side, Kyle. We do see it on the org chart side. Yeah, and the advantage being you can put an address on an office, and you'll know exactly where that office is and like who is inside, like who works at that office. You can associate the contacts and understand the company better that way. That's typically what we've seen.
That's really interesting. JR says, this looks amazing, solves some very complex global issues we have, but it also looks like it is resource hungry. Ballpark weekly, hourly commitment to make this sing and keep it current? I know it depends on volume, but use 100 companies as a guide.
Yeah, well, so it shouldn't be it certainly shouldn't be hungry, and I'll maybe give some numbers to that. So so we've always been product led in terms of like letting customers use it and go in there and use it. And so we've kind of mirrored HubSpot in that regard, and it is straightforward to use. Like what we find more often than not is our customers are going in there, the sales reps are starting to build out the charts and map out the key decision makers by themselves. That's what I'd encourage you to do. If I'd actually just put it in front of your sales reps and see whether it's going to be helpful for them, and let them start to build them out. Because obviously you could go a step beyond that, rather than just the initial build out, where you could think about the buying groups and think about the account plans and be more strategic about it. And we've got customers that do that at various stages. But getting going and just understanding the people at its very basis is fast. You could get it done in a couple of get it added in a couple of clicks, and then the team are on it.
Amazing. Ashley asks, I may have missed this, but how do you add the contact information card to a company record in HubSpot? We only have it on the right-hand pane love seeing it in the center.
I think I know. Yes, that is linked to. Bear with me a sec. 1 second. Sorry. I think that's linked to the middle pane that I was showing. 1 second. Which one was it? This one here. Yeah. So I kind of didn't go into too much detail about this, but this is the middle pane that is brilliant in terms of like HubSpot of giving this access. It's somewhat limited at the moment. Like we've got a limited number of customers that are using it. It's a joint beta that we have with HubSpot at the moment. But with that, you get these areas here where we're highlighting the key contacts and who's mapped out within that middle pane. I think that's probably what they're referring to. So sorry, it's a bit I'd have to see whether we could get that enabled for you. It's not just our decision on that one, but yeah, that's what that piece is about.
So the contacts on chart is one you built that is part of OrgChartHub. If someone's not using OrgChartHub, they're not going to be able to just go find that.
For that middle pane, we do, however, push properties back into HubSpot, like on a chart. That, and so if they want to create a dashboard, then you can do that obviously using those properties.
Great. Carrie asks, when you add a contact in the org chart at a deal level, will it automatically associate the contact to the deal? That question, that was just too much for Bevy to handle. One question too many.
Bevy out, guys. You've done it again. Joshua brought something up in the chat about custom objects for franchise locations. I don't want to mutilate what you said, Joshua. Should we bring him up and see if he wants to dive in a little bit deeper on that while we wait for Dan to come back?
We could. I'm also wondering, Austin, if you're still in the room, do you want to come on stage?
Oh, yep. Austin's got hands up.
Okay. Sorry. You got it? Okay. Yep.
Nope, not yet. You're still muted and no camera. It's not letting you unmute. You may have to restart.
Well, we're trying.
That's all we can do. That's showbiz, yeah.
Well, all right. We fully lost Dan now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's having a little bit of a tantrum also.
Oh, Dan might be back. Hello.
There's Dan.
We tried to bring Austin on while you were struggling with your connectivity, and we can't get Austin on. So we're glad you're back.
I could still hear you and see you. So
okay.
Another one. Yeah, cool. Yeah, what was the last question?
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wait, it was the one about, I don't know where it went. When you add a contact to the org chart at a deal level, will it automatically associate the contact to the deal?
No, so at the moment it's stored at the company level, and so you're mapping out the company level. We 100% want to get down to the deal level, hence why we do deal activity on the parent-child structure. But yeah, totally understand why you'd want to associate, like automatically associate within there. Yeah, something we want to tick off. So we'll keep you updated on that.
We have a couple of different questions about the pricing of OrgChartHub. Ashley is like, this is not part of HubSpot, right? It's an additional app. And then Jenny is asking, are you able to start at a lower pricing tier and upgrade later? Do you want to just kind of give a quick overview of your pricing?
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of mentioned it a moment ago in terms of you could definitely upgrade as you go, and I would recommend doing that because you can kind of just build up in terms of the target accounts that you're working on. Do you want me just to share the screen and like
talk go for it? Yeah, I think let's do it.
Right, one sec. So yeah, we're, as I kind of said at the start, we're HubSpot app partners and have been app partners for a long time. The pricing you can see inside of the app marketplace as well. The key thing is really on the pricing is the charts. That's the org charts. As I kind of mentioned a moment ago, we only count charts that are 3 and above. It's not fair to mark down 1 or 2 people on an org chart. That's not a big buying group. That's not helping you win a large deal. So anything above that starts to count. The account mapping that I showed doesn't contribute towards that number there. So it's just the contact side. Everybody gets access. So it's turned on for your account. So this is not a per seat price. This is per portal. And then the annual plans give you a 20% discount. And as I said earlier, like we do have some customers that are beyond the 500 chart plan. They're larger businesses that have got lots of sales reps, specifically sales reps that are focused on large accounts. And within that, obviously we've got plans that we can help you with if you need it beyond that piece. But I would always recommend start on the free plan just to get going and see if people like it, see what it helps you in your deal reviews. That gives you the ability to map up to 5 accounts. And then beyond that, you can always upgrade as you go, as you need to as well.
Cool. And currently the last question in the Q&A is from Waylon. Is it only parent-child labels that can be applied? I have a custom association label for agency managed company that I would love to be able to map in this way.
Yeah, just parent-child at the moment, but we are looking at that possibility with custom objects again. It's something we did try and play around with. Obviously, association labels has changed a little bit over the last couple of years, and yeah, we're certainly willing to look at that again. And it's something that would help a lot of our customers.
Cool. Well, that's all the questions we have so far. Any last thoughts you want to share with the group, Dan?
Cheers, Chris.
Any last thoughts you want to share, Dan, before we...
Oh, sorry. I was reading the chat.
Yeah, no, I got that.
It gets you sometimes.
Get out.
No, as I kind of said at the start, like first and foremost, we're HubSpot customers and have been for a long time. And specifically, like day to day, we see a lot on like what teams are doing when it comes to like buying groups specifically. So always happy to help out. I'm in the HubSpot community. I've been a HubSpot community member since 2017. So yeah, happy to help in any way if you have any questions.
Amazing. Well, Dan, thanks so much for being here. I'm always thrilled to have a chance to hang out with you. Love what you guys are doing. Austin, thanks also for being here in the background. Sorry we weren't able to get you on stage when we said we could. And we're going to call it here. You'll get a dozen extra minutes in your day. Go enjoy them. Go outside, touch some grass. Pretend like you're in a meeting when you're really not. And no one will ever be the wiser. And I hope to see you all back next Tuesday.
See you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.